I always do my videos in one particular subject, but I want to get to several this time because doing just one out of one article gets real boring from time to time, and it's pretty difficult to stretch out one article for like 10 minutes plus. Today we're gonna do a couple of news pieces that I find interesting and reporting it to you guys because of how incredibly freaking silly they were, and this has lots of things to do with gaming and geek culture and stuff. So let's get reading with some fresh juices. Our first fresh juice comes from the literally boob-smashing, butt-shattering anime Keijo, which is going to happen in real life. Or at least in Portugal, those lucky bastards. And you know who is more pissed off on this fact than anyone else? Kotaku, of course, specifically our wonderful writer Cecilia D'Anastasio.
Fans turn butt-bumping wrestling anime into real sport.
If you guys missed it in my 4th fanservice video where I still have some internalized whiteness, we saw Kotaku getting real pissed off for the fact that Keijo existed, giving headlines like,
"Girls fight with their butts and boobs in this deplorable new anime."
Deplorable new anime! Oh, God forbid an anime is about chicks fighting with their butts. And like I said in my last video, this article freely admits that they want to censor the anime.
I protest. I don't care that it's well animated. I don't care that the women have discernible personalities. No cookies for you. It is beside the point that Keijo! Was previously a manga. It could have died in obscurity. Now it's on Crunchyroll.
It could have died in obscurity, but it didn't! So all you can do when anime shoves boobs and butts at you is cry. But that was in the past. How is our Kotaku writer going to handle this horrendous news?
Today, in Anime Was a Mistake, fans of the anime Keijo, in which women in swimsuits fight with their boobs and asses, are making the anime sports a reality.
Ah, starting strong, I see.
Yesterday, anime site Goboyano reported that Portuguese fans of the fall 2016 anime are merely registering participants for Keijo training sessions. Women are testing out its viability by shoving opponents off floating rafts, just like in the anime, without using your arms, hands, legs, feet, or head, leaving you with hips and chest area to push the other players. The group's Facebook page reads, "The most generous interpretation of it is women's sumo on a floating platform, which surely requires great strength and balance to master."
Isn't that like the best thing ever? Seeing girls using their boobs and butts to knock each other out in real life, no less? The only problem is it's on Portugal, so screw you, Cristiano Ronaldo, for enjoying this shit before I did.
These Portuguese Keijo fans are proof that even though anime is trash, fandoms have the power to turn trash into treasure.
Well, at least we can agree on one thing. Anime is trash, and so is your waifu. Since this anime is going to happen in real life, there is a possibility that we're gonna have the reemergence of such glorious treasures like Gates of BOOTYLON. God bless this anime. But hey, if we're going to adapt things from anime to be a real life thing, we should find out what airs do characters breathe in Detective Conan because they're capable of halting people's aging for 20 plus fucking years now. That or we should have food critics having titanic orgasms when eating fucking curries of all things. Our next fresh juice comes from NPR with an article questioning the idea that video games can change people's behaviors. Hey, if an anime that is the equivalent of sumo using boobs and butts can convince people to do the same thing in real life, then maybe games about social justice can convince people about social justice in real life, because it works so well with Marvel Comics, right?
Screen saviors. Can activism-focused games change our behavior?
And by activism-focused games, they're referring to propagandas. The article opens with one of the dumbest paragraphs I've ever read in a while.
If you don't have to call your senator, stage a protest, or partake in rescue mission at a slaughterhouse, you can at least save some chickens on your phone, thanks to the new animal rights app Paintball Hero created by 17-year-old game developer Skylar Thomas. Animal liberation is now as easy as click, swipe, win.
So what you're saying is you're able to commit animal rights activism by simply playing a smartphone game. That's like saying a like in Facebook would feed the starving children in Africa.
An animal rights activist since early childhood, Thomas sought to start a conversation about animal abuse and mistreatment through gaming. He partnered with PETA 2, the youth chapter of People for the Ethical Treatment of Animals, to turn animal rights activism into a 3D mobile app experience.
Impressive, but then you find out that our game dev for today has partnered with PETA. Yes, that PETA, to develop video games. Yes, people were talking about the same PETA that develops insane video games like a Cooking Mama gore fest to highlight the game's evil treatment of animals. No, I am not kidding. If you're interested in wondering how the hell can this organization be trusted in animals at all, not counting the insane number of animals they themselves mistreated, you can Google a couple of games that PETA made to highlight how freaking insane they are, and PETA 2 is basically their children's branch. I really wish those children do not see the horrors that the parent company made, as PETA's Joel Barrett friend on his Cooking Mama Gorefest game.
This game is the best thing ever, so play it now, or else.
Is this the part where I'm supposed to be intimidated?
Still, PETA being insane is not fresh juice. What is fresh juice is this article mentioning a game titled A Cat in a Hijab, which was supposed to be a game about hate speech and discrimination. The game is supposed to take you into the perspective of a cat wearing a hijab and feel how it feels like being a Muslim suffering from hate speech and discrimination.
In recent years, there's been an influx of games centered on social and political issues, from sexism to racism to the refugee crisis. The Cat in the Hijab, created by Andrew Wang, featured sightless cats who are lopped with hate speech on the subway train. Here, users enter a world that conjures our own, inhabited by feline bigots who could very well have some ancestral ties to brutish Twitter trolls.
Sounds like a very preachy game, and you are correct to assume that, because the game was developed in an event called #ResistJam. However, if you're assuming that the game is about discrimination based on religion, you are absolutely wrong.
To be clear, this is not a game about religion or theology. It's set in a world populated by cute anthropomorphic cats. The game's goal is to help the player explore what it's like to be a victim of discrimination and hate speech, and also see the immediate choices we have when we are bystanders witnessing hate speech or crimes being committed.
A game called A Cat in a Hijab is not about religion or theology.
Get your crackhead ass into some rehab. I ain't got time for this bullshit.
Next time, you're gonna tell me that a guy wearing tight spandex and a cape is not about superheroes. But for real, I do want to have this discussion about whether or not video games affect people's behaviors. The article basically says the data is still thin, but don't worry article, we can elaborate more on the data by asking the question, would playing violent video games make people violent in real life? Because article, you're basically asking that. Replace violence with social justice. And it's basically what this article is arguing for.
Regardless of the direct behavioral connection, Khalif Adams, who along with Sharif Jackson and Cicero Holmes produced the Spawn on Me podcast, believes that games can achieve one of the most vital steps in driving change, informing others. Often we see folks who might not even know about a particular social justice issue, he says, and video games can be the perfect gateway into learning more.
So this article asked the question, would playing social justice games make people social justice warriors in real life? Well, since social justice is a very rare topic that a lot of games don't have, let's replace social justice with blood and gore, because video games have lots of those, and so many video games encourage players to kill people so many times. Do video games encouraging players to kill each other would cause people to do the same thing in real life? Well, as you may have guessed, absolutely freaking not, as evidenced by the numerous statistics and long-term studies that show the correlation between the decrease of youth violence and increase in video game sales. In fact, here's one fresh juice about video game violence.
Hardcore players of violent video games do not have emotionally blunted brains.
Well, a much better question is, who the hell asked that question in the first place?
Using brain scanning to look for emotional desensitization at a neural level, Gregory Schicks at Hanover Medical School and his colleagues in fact found no evidence that excessive players of violent video games are emotionally blunted.
I really don't like these brain scanning studies on violent video games and real life violence because they're only doing such a thing when they're playing the video games. What the subject does after playing a video game is more important than what happens when the subject is playing the video game. The reason is because you're arguing that video games cause people to have violent behaviors. Just because it happens in a game doesn't mean it happens in real life. Even rage quits do not count. Rage quits isn't a sign that people who play games can turn into real life murderers. Rage quits are caused by a state of defeat, which are not exclusive to video games. People can lose at anything and feel rage, with Monopoly being the worst offender. Not a lot of people would dedicate their time in observing every gamer in their daily life right after playing a violent video game, and this doesn't even consider any external factors and environments happening within said subject. The only one that we can get is, of course, the correlation between sales of video games and youth violence, and that one says there is no link. So if the millions of video games that ask players to kill each other cannot convince players to kill each other in real life, then how would social justice games make people to consider social justice stuff in real life? Because that worked out for Marvel, right? Anyway, the article ends with this paragraph.
The impact of activism-focused games might be difficult to quantify, but these game developers are still making important strides. They are skewering stereotypes of gamers, stretching the boundaries of their medium, and steering their gaze outward and towards the real world.
Oh, those silly gamers that want to have fun in fictional worlds, you should go back into the real world and think about social justice issues. Starting to feel like this article is one step away of telling players to stop playing and start peering into Jesus or something. Into our next fresh juice, we have our old pal, the Mary Sue. Ah, Mary Sue. You know, I once had a little faith in you when you put out an article basically calling out yourself, but now you're doing the exact opposite of what that article wants you to do, and that exact opposite thing is...
Supergirl fans are rightfully angry with the cast's flippant dismissal of Kara/Lena Luthor shippers.
Wow, the creators are making fun of your OTPs. Fucking serious business, ladies and gentlemen. I'm gonna highlight one paragraph of the article that you wrote a couple of months ago.
This kind of puritanical policing all comes from a place of misogyny, tied up with moral panic around what women might be reading or writing. It's exactly these sorts of arguments that have historically suppressed and silenced art created by women. And in our communities, those online spaces of our own, we should be fighting to resist any kind of suggestion that the people within them aren't free to create something on grounds of virtuosity.
And now we have Supergirl, one of the most progressive superhero shows on the planet, with a strong female protagonist. And now you're going to call out the show creators for making fun of your OTP. Oh, you Tumblrinas having memory losses.
This weekend at Comic-Con, the cast of Supergirl was asked by MTV's Josh Horowitz to do an improvised musical recap of the show's second season. At one point, Jeremy Jordan, who plays Win, sings about how Kara meets a new girlfriend, Lena Luthor, played by Kathy McGarth. He then looks into the camera and yells, sings, "They're only friends! They're only friends! They're not gonna get together! They're only friends!" As you might have guessed, a lot of fans did not find Jordan's joke funny.
Oh no! We have tweets of people getting angry that their OTP isn't canon. God, I need some popcorns.
This was pretty gross. The cast would have mocked Supercorp if Lena was a man. Was that really necessary? Why bring up romantic Supercorp for no reason just to shut it down? Supercorp fandom, where are we migrating next? We're in the herb, they have good rep, and cast is great.
And Mary Sue, like you said in that paragraph of the article you wrote calling yourself out, the act of policing people based on the ship that they pick under the guise of social justice all stems from a place of misogyny. Your word, Mary Sue, your word. And now you decided that it would be a good idea to do the exact same thing that you said to be misogynistic.
LGBTQ plus representation is severely lacking in television, and respectful, fully developed queer relationships even more so fans will sometimes root for and support the relationships they want to see on screen. Just because it isn't planned by the show's creators or official canon, that doesn't make it less important for fans.
Oh, Mary Sue, you misogynistic bigots. Your word, your logic, not mine. Conflating ships of characters in a TV show with LGBTQ issues. Ships are important business, everybody! If the issues of LGBTQ plus is that the entertainment industry senpai didn't notice them enough, I think we're pretty alright in that regard. We don't want to make LGBTQ plus people to look like they're entitled millennials who not only want their OTP canon but also for senpais to notice them. Like I said in my last video, all of this diversity nonsense is all about being noticed by entertainment industry senpai. It's not about dealing with actual LGBTQ plus issues because that would concern serious topics. No, it's all about Tumblrites wanting to get noticed by the entertainment industry. And the Mary Sue encourages this behavior by including the word rightfully in their article. Just because you justify yourself doesn't mean that you are. And after all of that nonsense, one of the actors apologized twice because the first one wasn't good enough apparently. Ship teases are not anti-LGBT. By that logic, ship teases are anti-straight as well because that's what most ship teases are done for.
You gotta open up your stance, do you get it? Come on.
It's easier said than... Huh?
Whoa! Damn, that hurt.
Oh, so sorry! Sorry.
On second thought, the gay ones are more fun.
Huh? Is something wrong, Yosuke?
Is it my voice?
In response to the first apology, here's what one of the fans said to him.
If someone from a marginalized group tells you what you did hurt them, you don't get to decide that you did it because it wasn't intentional.
Well, that only proves that your offense is taken. You're the one who is offended. The actors or the creators have no intention in offending you, and yet you are still offended. You're offended by the fact that your OTP is not canon. Stop turning into high school me.
It's not clear if he actually understands why fans were hurting, and why shipping goes deeper than just fun, silly fantasy, but at least it sounds like he's open to the idea that just because he doesn't understand something, that doesn't mean it's not important and worthy of his respect.
Wow. There you go, everybody. Ships are serious business, guys. Wow. Holy fucking shit, wow. As someone who spends his entire high school years writing Teen Titans and Young Justice fanfictions, how old are you, Mary Sue? And might I suggest you to grow the fuck up? But I guess it's enough for the fresh juices of today. Thank you all for sticking around in these horrendous times. Before we end this video, huge thanks to Peter T for the pledge on Patreon. You are fantastic. That's all for the video today. If you like this, you can go ahead, click like button, and subscribe for more. If you wish, you can support me on Patreon. And thanks for watching.